Hello, everyone. It is Micha Green, DC editor, and this is really, really cool because I can say that I am interviewing my bosses. This is kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity, one could say. They've interviewed me tons of times. So here's the flip around switcheroo, and I'm really excited and honored to have them here with us today on Afro Live. Introducing our publisher, the Reverend Dr. Francis Tony Draper, our managing editor, Reverend Dorothy Boulware, and our wonderful executive director, Lenora Housey. How are you guys doing today?
Well, thank you.
Fantastic.
Yes. So, guys, it's weird. I'm sure that you're seeing us on a publishing day, but that's because we have some really important news to share with you. And that's, we're still here. We've been here for almost 129 years this August, and we have a lot to be grateful for and celebrate. We know we have been living in some unprecedented times, and so we at the Afro constantly are reminded and grateful that we're still here. And one way that we do that is through our monthly We're Still Here edition. Many of you guys have checked it out, I'm sure. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe because you want to get that beautiful legacy We're Still Here edition. But today we're going to talk about the edition, what it is, and the Afro, and why we're still here. And I'm really, really excited because I think it's a really good opportunity for me to say and be reminded, I'm at an organization that's been around for 129 years, and what's my place in it? And so before we even get into the nitty gritty, I have to do this. I'm playing a game. I'm pulling a Dr. Draper.
Oh no!
Oh Lord!
Yeah. Okay, so you all are going to introduce yourselves. This is a theater game using the first letter of your name with an adjective that you think describes who you are. And then in one sentence, I guess I'll give you 1 to 2 sentences, tell us what you do at the Afro and a fun fact either about the Afro or your time here. I'll give you guys 30 seconds and I can start.
Thank you. Let me look up some synonyms or something. Let me start that.
None of you guys are M's. All right, so I'm going to say with absolutely the most humility, but this is what came to mind first. Marvelous, Micha. Again, with the most humility, that's what came to mind first. I'm the DC and digital editor at the Afro-American newspapers. I've been here for over 3 years, and part of my responsibility is bringing the news to you guys in tons of different capacities, and I absolutely love it. And my fun fact is that I started working for the Afro as a graduate student, and here I am today. Who wants to go next?
Well, I'll jump in. I am delightful, detail-oriented Dorothy, and the managing editor of the Afro. I started out as a general assignment reporter a while back, and still loving it every day. A fun fact about me is that I've been married almost 53 years.
That is so impressive. Goals, goals, goals. All right. Lenora Housey, you are not you must have the thoughts going and circulating and ready to go. That's
okay. I guess my letter is up next, L. So I am, it's gonna be 2 words, but L. I am loving laughter, Lenora. I really do subscribe to the biblical principle, really, that laughter is like medicine. And so I will find something to laugh at, about, or with in almost any situation, and that sort of keeps me going. I am, as Micha introduced me, the executive director for the Afro. I also serve in the capacity of ad director. And so, like everyone on this screen and all of my colleagues, wear multiple hats. But what I enjoy saying about my role at the Afro, when people ask me, so what is it you do, is like I said, I think of myself sort of as like an orchestra conductor, and bringing all the different parts of the paper together so that we can produce this wonderful orchestral piece called the Afro, whether it's in print, online, or in social media. And then, on the side, selling some advertising. So that's who I am. And did I complete my assignment, Micha? Is there anything else I'm supposed to say?
We're supposed to do the fun fact, but I think you sort of did when you did your perfect metaphor as as conductor. That was great.
Thank you.
Loved your synonyms for who you are. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Dr. Draper, you are next.
Magnificent Micha, how are you? So I am focused Francis and talented Tony.
Ooh, love it. Love it.
And at the Afro, I am the chief cheerleader and visionary and lover of people of all ages who have like minds and heart and talent to get the work done of serving our community. Fun fact about me, you guys know this already, but a lot of people will say, what? We have 12 grandchildren.
That is a whole lot.
And it's not cheaper by the dozen either.
Do you remember everyone's birthdays?
Micha Green. We know the well, it depends. We know the part of the year that most of them are in.
Okay,
right?
that's good.
Right?
That's a great start. That's a really
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time we know everybody's names.
Most of the time.
And if we don't, we call them sweetheart.
Is that why we're sweetheart?
You got it.
Learn something new every day. This is gonna be a fun conversation. Well, we are still here. I am super excited that you guys took some time to talk to us and our awesome Afro viewers and family out there. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you drop your questions and comments for us in the chat. We'll definitely try to shout you out and make sure we say hello. So, I guess my first question is about why we're still here. And so can we just take us a little bit back into the history of the Afro? We know it's almost 129 years old, but can you tell us a little bit about how we started? Dr. Draper, do you want to jump in?
So let me try to give you the short version of when, how, where, why we started. So the Afro was started in 1892. The founder of the Afro, my great-grandfather, John Henry Murphy Sr., was over 50 years old when he started a business. So all the budding entrepreneurs out there, it is absolutely never too late. He had served in the Civil War. He was an enslaved man, served in the colored troops of the Civil War. He rose to the rank of Master Sergeant. And he and his wife, Martha Howard, the daughter of a Montgomery County farm owner, had 10 children. They had 11 and 10 survived, so 10 children. And when he was, like I said, over 50 years old, having served in the service, having been enslaved, being a whitewasher by trade, became a printer. And he printed a small publication at first called the Sunday School Helper. And then with $200, we can get into the $200 story. I don't know. The men of the family say she gave him $200. The women of the family say she loaned him $200. But nonetheless, with $200 from Martha, he purchased the name Afro and a printing press at an auction. It's amazing that the name was already in existence. And so from those humble beginnings, the Afro just became a force. And at one time, published 13 editions, owned its own press, employed 200 people, had a big union shop, and was really, as our tagline says now, the Black Media Authority at that time. And let me say a little bit about that tagline, and somebody else may want to jump in. That's not a 1892 tagline. That's one that Nielsen, the survey folk, conferred on the Afro after doing a survey. And so we claim it. And so we have been the Black Media Authority. And so through generations of not just the founding family, but generations of other Afro family members, the Afro has grown over the years. So that's the short version.
And Micha, if I may jump in about the Nielsen ranking, because I love this story about how this came about and how we even learned of it, because we were at I believe it was the Congressional Black Caucus, at one of their major annual conventions when we were actually doing things in person. And we, the Afro, as well as the other attendees, found out while we were there that Nielsen had conducted this survey to determine who the top Black newspaper in the country was. And we're like, oh my God. We didn't even know they had conducted it. They did it in conjunction with Essence Magazine at the Jazz Festival. So they were interviewing people from all over the country, asking this question. And so those of us who were there representing the Afro, we're like, okay, this is being announced in our hometown, because we were in DC in our backyard. We were like, Lord, please let us make the list. Let us be in the top 5. And so they announced that they were going to reveal who the top 5 newspapers were the next day. So like the night before, I mean, it was nerve wracking. And so the next day when they made the announcement, that they had a press conference and they handed out the results of the survey, when we saw the Afro's name not just on the list, but top of the list as the nation's #1 Black newspaper, talk about just a moment of such pride and relief. Like, oh, thank you, Lord, because we were there with all of our peers, and we're in great company. Those with the others that are on the list, some renowned historical Black publications, and so yes, we still maintain that position, and we're still here.
I did not know that story. I'm sure y'all have been like, oh, Micha really is a great actress. No, I really did not know this story. My mouth has been open because I am shocked. I thought we were claiming the Black Media Authority because that's what we do as is claim what we are. And I did not know that.
Yes, no, we were, and Nielsen, as everybody may know, is the premier marketing ranking research company in the country.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was not just some little corner store survey. This was like the real deal.
That is amazing. Wow. It gets better and better to work for that every day. I will tell you that. All right, so the phrase "we're still here," and then I'm going to show you guys meaning all of our viewers, a little video that will give you a hint of what we've been up to over the past year in planning these special editions every month for you. But Rev, you are our fearless managing editor. You are awesome and have taught me so much about headlines and what to do. And I love the term "we're still here." Can you kind of frame what that means for us now, and what audiences can expect when they pick up any "We're Still Here" edition?
We're Still Here came out of a discussion that was fired by so many things, one of them being the murder of George Floyd. Another being the fight for voting rights that we were going through that year. And so our declaration was not only for ourselves, but for the world, looking back at our history, no matter what has been attempted against Black people in this country for whatever reason, we're still here. We're still fighting, we're still growing, we're still voting, we still have a strong voice, and we will not be silent. We will let the world know in perpetuity that we are still here.
Whew. This is why she's Rev every day, all day.
Amen.
Does anyone want to add to that? All
Well,
right.
awesome then. So we decided that. So we did our first edition on police brutality and how we had survived police brutality. Even in the face of videos where crimes were apparent, we saw white people continually be acquitted for their acts against us. And again, so we did that special edition about police brutality, and then for our anniversary edition that summer, we went to voters' rights and looking at incidences of voter suppression throughout our history and seeing that it was on the rise again. So another special edition. We're still here and we're still voting, and we're going to keep voting.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
so,
Micha,
yeah.
I think the other meaning, because there are so many meanings to we're still here, but the way that I most often use it when I'm talking to businesses and organizations who either did not know or forgot that the Afro was still here. And we have not been a part of a lot of media buying discussions because of that. And so going out with these special editions with this theme really has gotten us in the door and started some really great conversations about what Reverend Bulwer just explained, as well as 129 years later, the Afro is still here, and we're still here and have evolved into so many platforms and reach so many people. And so that's really how I use we're still here. We're still here. Subscribe and buy. Okay.
Absolutely. Subscribe and buy. And thanks to all of you guys who are here and tuning in. I know that you guys know that we're still here, but you know what I always say, sharing is caring. Share and spread the message that we're still here, and start with sharing the stream. I see tons of people tuning in. This will be here forever. So even if your friends can't watch it now, they can watch it later. Share the stream. And remember, we're still here. So I'm going to share this video that we have added to the stream here. And it gives you guys a bit of an idea of what we have been up to and what we hope to present to you all in the near future.
After years of deliberation, the city of Fredericksburg, Virginia, removed a slave auction block where African Americans were forced to stand as they were displayed and sold.
Miss USA 2016 is District of Columbia. Mr. Raymond, Yusuf, Android, and King Glory Rise.
Wow, we're still here. As Curtis said, wow. Yeah, that video gets me every time. The first time,
Every time.
I was in tears. Just, I'll just share my testimony. It gets me because, I am 29. I'll be 30 this year. I'm choking on my words. But I am 29, and I think about the, that 100 years ago, someone, 129 years ago, and 100 years before I was born, someone had the audacity and the dream to write and publish a newspaper when so many Black people could not even read. And it really moves me to belong to this organization and to be a part of that family. So anyway, we're still here. We are still here. Yes. So let's jump in. Yes, powerful video. Let's jump in. First of all, I know there's a bit of an amendment on the May edition. So Lenora, do you want to correct that, but then also jump into talking about we're still here and what we've been up to this past for the past 3 and coming up on the 4th edition?
Certainly. And so, like you said, Micha, we've already done 3 of these, and they are absolutely beautiful, engaging, great reads. I would certainly suggest for those of you watching, listening, that if you're not a subscriber, become one so that you can get, or a member, so you can get these editions. If you want editions that have already been published, you can get them as well, and we'll give you more information about that later. But so January we did community activists. February, with it being Black History Month, we did Black First, but it's Black History all the time at the Afro. We did a little switch. We did right 365. We did a little switch up in March. Because of this, just the continuing and prevailing story of our health, and with the vaccine and with COVID. So March's edition was about maintaining our health. April, which we're working on now, I'm really excited about that. It's going to be about building Black wealth. So again, these are going to be very educational and informative. And then May, I might say, perhaps is my favorite one, because
Mine too.
yeah, it is. And probably for many of our viewers, we're going to talk about our relationship with food, and how food has been such a part of our culture. And I'm going to really throw it to Reverend Bulwer to really talk more in detail about what we're going to cover. But food, whether it's Sunday dinners, or whether it's Black family reunions, food is like a major character in our lives. It brings us together. It has kept us together during hard times. Our families always found a way to make sure we had something on the table. And so that's what May is going to concentrate on. And then we have a whole lot more following that in months to come. But these special editions have been absolutely wonderful, not just with the content, but with our advertising partners and businesses who have participated and told their story as it relates to the themes that we're covering. So that's what we're up to. It's really exciting.
And so, Dr. Draper, you've said that you and I guess it's true, really, with the Afro. I think you said your grandfather, as soon as you learned how to write, your grandfather would put you to work. Um, and I know We're Still Here, as we talked about before, has, you know, triple, quadruple entendres. But for you, as we publish these editions, you know, you always have such a sense of pride talking about it. Can you tell the people a little bit about why they should be picking up these editions and subscribing to the Afro in order to be a part of this legacy?
Okay, thank you. First, thanks to everybody that gave us a shout out for the video, but I want to go back a little bit and talk about how We're Still Here came about. This is a total team effort. And to the brother that made the comment, yes, we've got brothers on our team as well. But this wasn't something that just we said, let's get a video company to do a video. This whole We're Still Here concept came about the entire Afro team. And no, we don't have hundreds of people. You know, there are about 25 of us, 20 to 25 of us, but everybody, regardless of what part they play on the team, we all got together and we said, what would we like to see a concentrated effort on? Like, we could take one whole edition and not write about anything else but that one subject. And so we did that. We brainstormed around that. We broke up into small groups around that. We came up with these themes, even though May has been tweaked a little bit, but we came up with these themes for that. Our editorial department, shout out to editorial department. It sounds like simple, just take one whole edition, but that's filling every page with one subject. And so the writers, the editors, the production folk, the entire team. And so I wanted to say that it is a really concentrated effort, because it's no filler in there, right? This is a crab cake with no filler, y'all. This is all back then for our Maryland viewers. No bread, no filler, and so that our regular news for that week is all posted on social media or online. But this one edition, so the Maintaining Our Health edition, was 28 pages in terms of the print world, 28 pages of stories about natural healing and African healing traditions and things that we talk about, in our community, putting the onions in the socks or whatever it was. And then we had stories of COVID survivors. I mean, just all kinds of things. And so I'm really excited to answer your question that you asked about this, because in one place you have all of this information that is truly Afrocentric, right? Written by African-American people. And no, our entire staff is not African-American. Let me say that. And our entire staff is not any one thing, because we all are a melting pot of a whole lot of different, backgrounds coming together, but we all work together as a team. So I'm excited about these topics because they are so important and they're so germane to the African-American community, not just to our survival, but to us thriving going forward. And so kudos to everybody and thank you to our readers, because we put out polls and we asked readers. We're already working on 2022. And so we're looking for ideas for 2022. What would you like for us to take a deep dive on? What would you like to know more about that we can really go, under the usual kinds of headlines and really talk about? So that's what's exciting for me, Micha. Even as we talk about, and even our June edition, which we haven't talked about, but I think the name of that is Singing Songs in the Key of Life. So we're going to talk about Black music and our relationship to music. Now we could do that all year long, right? We could talk about music like every edition, but we're going to do a deep dive on that in June. So that's why I'm excited about that. I'm excited to hear what the readers, and I'm excited that we have so many platforms to get this information out. So yes, we have a legacy edition, and like many of you, I get my news right here. This is, this is my constant, my constant source of a lot of news, right? So I admit that I get that right here for the late breaking news. But the editions that we've done for We're Still Here, you can't throw them away. It's like you got to hold on to that, because even though I can pull it up here, which I do. It's just something's different about these particular editions when you can actually, because you can sit them on a coffee table, you know.
Absolutely. Rev, can you tell us a little bit about the history of the Afro in terms of community journalists, but then also why we still need the community to this day and in their contributions for we're still here?
That's funny because I was like, what is she asking me? But let me say this because something very funny, and I don't even know the man's name, but there was somebody named that had a column called Midnight Musings. I don't know if you remember Dr. Draper. And this was years ago, but he would travel all over the country and send columns to the Afro that were printed in the papers. They went, and this was when we had all of those different markets. I don't know what the man's name was, but he had a regular column in the paper. And so there was news from Tennessee or Alabama or wherever he was at the time. So the Afro has always been a combination of professional journalistic trained writers and friends in the community who just love to write and make sure we got the news. It's been a combination of social society news, you know, with the picture pages and all of the events that some people brought the paper mostly for. And we haven't lost that with these special editions because often I'll just call somebody in the community and ask them to write a story about some experience they had recently that fits in with the paper. I might ask them to talk to somebody or record a conversation. So we still have the community so much involved in this. And the other wonderful thing about it is it's not just what we're doing now. It's not just what we're doing health wise now. We look back and we look at some of the things that were done. We looked at when the coronavirus first started, we looked back at 1918 and we read some of those articles, and the same instructions were being given then that were given to us. So when Lenora gets all excited about the food edition, we'll have we'll have all kinds of foods in there to get, but we'll also have stories in there about the fact that the Afro used to have cooking schools back in the day. Used to teach
Wow.
young women how to cook. And I think one of the prizes was a brand new stove for the person who ever won whatever competition it was. So we take the news, but we also are able to pull from the community. We're able to pull from our archives that has so many pictures and so many stories. When we talk about Black wealth, we're going to look back at the first woman who started a bank and include all of that in our gathering. We're going to talk about African savings clubs and susus because it's all a part of our financial history. So it's a melting pot of news.
And can our viewers contribute in any way or share something? And where can they submit if so?
Okay, our catchment box is editor@afro.com. Whatever it is, whatever you want us to see. And I promise you, I check that box more times a day than I'd like to admit. So whatever it is, please send it. We are looking for stories of people who have had the coronavirus and have totally recovered from it. We're looking for stories from people who've had it and might have lingering symptoms because the more information we share, the more helpful we are to the community. But any story ideas you have, you know, a letter to the editor or some story you think we should write or you'd like to write, send it to editor@afro.com.
Thank you very much. And how about advertising opportunities? I know that's a thing. Can you tell the people potentially how they can reach out about advertising opportunities and just a little sneak peek in terms of what they are?
Certainly. Thanks, Micha. And so the advertising opportunities, first of all, are varied from print to web to social media, but can all be tied to any of these editions we're talking about. We like to find out what the advertiser or businesses need is. What is it that you want to communicate to our readers, and then provide you that platform. What's been really interesting for maybe the last 9 to 12 months, Micha, is that we've gone beyond just presenting and offering your standard ad, with a couple of lines in a logo, to where now our advertisers can sort of tell your story in your own words with what we are calling, or what is called, branded content. And so this gives you an opportunity to let our readers know what you are about and what you have done, or what your plans are, as they relate to all of the themes that we present. And so again, we've got, your standard ads where you can run an ad with, a logo and some copy. You can tell your story. You can do that in print or online. If you have an event coming up that you want our readers to know about, you can do that. I mean, there are a myriad of ways that you can reach our audience. And that's one of the things that we are committed to doing, is not just educating our readers with the wonderful content that you're hearing about, but also letting them know what's going on with the businesses in our community as well. And we want to give you the opportunity to do that. And so if you are interested in learning more about how you can advertise, not just in these monthly special editions, but in any edition, you can reach out directly to me. My email address is L, as in my first initial, and Howze, Howze, which you can probably see on the screen, at afro.com, Howze at afro.com. And I promise I or someone from our team will get back to you and let you know more about all the great opportunities to advertise.
Oh my goodness. I am just so inspired by all the work that we are doing here at the Afro. And it just makes me proud to hear everything that's happening. It's just a really good reminder. And as Dr. Draper said before, it's such a team effort in order to get this done. But it also takes you all tuning in. So remember, share this stream, subscribe, bye, and really engage with us. Tell us what you want to hear and what you're interested in. Before we wrap, is there anything that you all would like to add about the special edition? Potentially tease a little bit while people can still grab the March We're Still Here edition. Anything you want to add?
I just want to add this, Micha. I want to turn the tables a little bit. I know you're hosting this, but can you tell our viewers a little bit about what Micha Green does? You wear several hats for the Afro. You introduced yourself as being with us for three years, but there's more to Micha Green than just how long you've been. So can you tell us a little bit about the fact that we're in DC and what you do there?
Sure, I'd love to. My job is DC and digital content editor, and I started as DC editor in January 2018, and I'm native Washingtonian, but have learned so much about my city by serving in this position. And I feel really grateful for that. The Afro has been in DC covering stories pretty much since the very beginning. Our office, our Washington DC office on U Street at one point was a major staple in the community, and people still talk about it to this day. And we still our presence in many of the African-American businesses in Washington, D.C., and in the households, not just African-American, of the residents in Washington, D.C. The Afro is I'll say this, very, very important to the storytelling of what's happened in the nation's capital. and continues to be. And we're giving you a take that a lot of people won't. And so as digital editor, I get the opportunity to tell a lot of stories through the social media and visual platform. You guys see me all the time here for that reason. And because of that, the Afro will be on the front lines at your protests. The Afro will be on the front lines when a major decision is made at Congress or in the White House, or something big has happened. And we were there before, and we're still doing that. And that's all throughout the DMV, truly. But yeah, I never really thought about it in this much detail, because I'm just always up to it. But we have an amazing team of writers who freelance for us in Washington, D.C., and make sure our stories are told as well. I think some might even be tuning in, so hello to all of you all. And again, we really appreciate you all telling us the stories. And so if you know of something happening in the Washington area that you think that we should know about, let us know. You can send the editor at afro.com, or me, mgreen@afro.com. And we definitely will try to make sure that your story is told.
Great. And thank you, Micha. And the only other thing I'd like to say, I want to acknowledge Jewel Johnson's comment. Thank you, Jewel. You really, hang in here with us on these live broadcasts, and we appreciate you. We have lost our Carolina Times publisher and the paper itself. So Ken Edmonds, and he was, the publisher there. The paper had been in his family for a very, very long time. And so I just want to say, wherever you're from, wherever you're watching from, there are only 200 Black newspapers in the entire country. That may sound like a lot, but really that is not a lot. When you think about major markets that may have 10, 15, 20 different publications, or people that have publications just because they live in a particular small part of a larger city, there may be a publication just for that neighborhood. And so, yes, the Carolina Times, that's a big void, because Ken Edmonds was right there on the front lines, and he died last May, I believe. And so wherever you are, it's not just the Afro. I want to put a plug in for the Black press. I want to, and I'm talking about the Black owned press. There are a lot of people who are doing Black news, but the Black owned newspapers, we also are, as you've heard Lenora say, we're a business. We are employers. We're not Black people working for somebody else. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but everybody who puts themselves out as purveyors of news of interest to us, behind the scenes, there are people who are telling them what they can and what they cannot publish. We had somebody from the Pulitzer Prize organization to say that they didn't think we were qualified to apply. This has been a while ago. We're gonna still apply, Managing Editor Bulware, because we take too many advocacy stands. We're too, because of the mix that we do. Well, we're going to continue on advocating, and we don't need a Pulitzer Prize to advocate. We too long, John Russworm and Samuel Cornish, who started the first Black newspaper in 1820, Freedom's Journal, they said, "We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us." And so my last remark is that let's support Black-owned businesses in general. Please support the Black-owned press wherever you are. Go to blackpressusa.org, blackpressusa.org. If you say, well, I don't know what my Black newspaper is in my area, go there, and there's a list of Black-owned newspapers. It should be there, blackpressusa.org. And so that's the last thing I want to do, is just give a shout out to the Black press all over the country. Some of those newsrooms are small. It's, just one or two people, and they are cranking out their news week after week or day after day. And so I want to just give a shout out to the Black press. And this is Black Press Month, by the way. This is Black Press Month.
Black Press Month, Women's History Month. It is a lot going on and a lot to be grateful for, and a lot to celebrate the fact that throughout these really, really difficult times, we are still here. Thank you guys so much for being here today. I really, really appreciate your time. This is our busy day, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to everybody who tuned in. We appreciate you.
Yes, we absolutely do. Remember, subscribe so you can get a copy of our Legacy Edition every week. But of course, our special We're Still Here edition, which, as Dr. Draper said, is truly a coffee table edition. Oh, and yes, it looks like
Yes.
we're giving out some swag.
Right. And I said enough, but we also have Afro swag, right? And so I don't know if you all can see this. You know, we developed our own You're on Mute cup. We have our Afro t-shirts. I don't know if you can see them, but if you go to the Afro Mall, oh, thank you, Dana. Thank you, Dana. It's in the chat, theafromall.com. There are sweatshirts and t-shirts and mugs and I don't know, other kinds of things. There are lots of things.
I think we still have masks in there as well.
I think masks are in there as well, but the afromall.com. And so please support us there. Go to afro.com. And last thing I'm going to say, I keep saying last thing, that's typical of a preacher, right? Last thing. When you see an ad on our social media, would you please just click on it? So on our Facebook page, you may see an ad from Comcast Rise. You know, they count engagements, they count clicks. And so please just click through, and then there's good information there for you as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I thank you all again so much. This has been a great Wednesday afternoon moment to reflect and also share the great things that we're doing at the Afro. Thank you for tuning in, all of our viewers. We appreciate you, and we can only still be here because we have you. So continue to support the Afro, continue to support the Black press and Black businesses. And remember to be safe, mask up, wash your hands, and Black Lives Matter. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.